Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something right now. If you're listening to this, it ain't by accident. You're here because deep down, you know you different. You feel it. You don't fit in with the crowd, and that's not a curse. That's a blessing. Some of y'all got what I call an extremely rare personality. And I'm going to tell you 8 signs that show just how powerful you really are. Let me break something down to you, because this right here is important. When you got a rare personality, your mind don't operate like everybody else's. You don't just skim the surface, you go deep. See, some folks wake up every day and all they think about is what they gonna wear, who liked their post, what's trending on social media. But you, nah. You think beyond that. You sitting there thinking about your future, your legacy, your purpose. You're asking yourself real questions. What am I here for? What impact am I supposed to make? Am I growing or just going through the motions? That's depth. Most people are afraid to be alone with their thoughts. You ever notice that? They gotta have noise, TV, music, phone in their hand 24/7 because silence makes them uncomfortable. But not you. You can sit in that quiet and reflect. That's power. That's rare. And let me tell you, deep thinkers are the ones who change the game. You think about consequences before you act. You think about how your words affect others. You're the type that replays conversations in your head like, did I say too much? Did I say too little? Could I have said it better? That ain't weakness. That's awareness. That's character. And it ain't just about overthinking. It's about seeing things on levels other folks can't even recognize. When people talk to you, you listening between the lines. You hear what they say, but you also hear what they really mean. You pick up on energy, body language, vibe. That's because your mind is wired to go deeper than the surface. When you see a problem, you don't just react, you pause, you analyze. You ask, why is this happening? What's the lesson here? How can I turn this into something good? That's a rare mindset. You're not impressed by shiny things. You're impressed by depth. You'd rather have a conversation about someone's dreams than their drama. You want to know what keeps people up at night, not what they wore last night. You're not interested in gossip. You're interested in growth. And sometimes that makes you feel out of place, right? Like in a room full of people talking loud, saying nothing, and you sitting there thinking, what am I doing here? But that's because your mind is built different. You don't crave noise. You crave meaning. And here's the thing most folks don't understand about deep thinkers. You feel everything. You don't just see a sunset, you feel it. You don't just hear a song, you connect with it. You don't just love, you love hard, deep, wholehearted. And that kind of depth is rare because it comes with a cost. You get misunderstood, people think you're too much or too sensitive or too intense, but nah, you're just built to see what others ignore. And instead of running from it, you lean into it. That's rare. You ever found yourself watching people chase things you already know won't make them happy? Money, clout, likes, validation. But you sit back and think, man, they don't even see what really matters yet. That's because your eyes have been opened. You've tasted wisdom. You've seen behind the curtain. And once you see life on that deeper level, you can't go back to shallow living. You start protecting your time, your space, your peace. You start choosing quality over quantity in people and in conversations and in how you spend your days. You're the one your friends come to when they need real advice. Not that sugar-coated stuff. but the truth. You don't always say what they want to hear, but you say what they need to hear because you've already thought it through. You've weighed the angles. You've considered the bigger picture. And sometimes that means you carry more than most. You carry your own struggles, but you still make time to help others with theirs. This is what addiction recovery really is. Sometimes you carry arms of others, building them up. That's deep. That's rare. Now don't get it twisted. Being a deep thinker don't mean you're always serious or sad. Nah, it just means your mind is always active. You could be laughing one minute and then reflecting the next. You feel highs and lows stronger than most. You see the beauty and the brokenness in everything. And while other folks avoid pain, you face it. You wrestle with it. You learn from it. And then you grow. You evolve. Because that's what deep thinkers do. We transform. You ask questions other people avoid. Am I really happy or just busy? Is this person good for my spirit or just good for my ego? Am I living my truth or living someone else's idea of success? See, that's the kind of thought that leads to real freedom. That's how you break cycles. That's how you rise. So if you ever felt like you don't belong, if people ever made you feel like you overthink or care too much, just know that's your gift. The world is full of surface level minds, but yours is deep, complex, vibrant. You see the world through a lens most folks ain't even aware of. You ain't crazy, you're rare. And don't you ever shrink yourself to make other people comfortable. Your mind is powerful, your thoughts are valuable. You're not here to fit in. You're here to wake people up, to lead, to build, to shift the atmosphere. And the best part, you ain't even done growing yet. You still got more to discover, more to think, more to become. Keep digging. Keep going deep. Because what you find down there, that's where your greatness lives. You ever walk into a room and feel like you don't belong? Not because you ain't good enough, but because the energy just ain't right? That's what happens when you don't follow the crowd. See, when you got a rare personality, you naturally stand apart. You don't go left just because everybody else is going left. You pause. You look around. You ask, is that even the right direction for me? And that alone, that question, is what separates you from most. Most folks do what they see other people do. They move with the masses, no questions asked. They chase trends, fake happiness, live for the applause. They wear what's popular, talk how others talk, pretend to like things just to be accepted. But you wired different. You don't move off hype. You move off purpose. You don't let the world dictate your steps. You trust your own path, even if it's lonely sometimes. Now let me tell you something. Not following the crowd takes guts. It's easy to blend in. It's easy to say, well, everybody else is doing it, so it must be right. But it takes courage to step away from all that and say, nah, this ain't for me. You've probably been called stubborn before, or difficult, maybe even weird. But deep down, you know it's not that. It's not arrogance. It's not rebellion. It's just, you know who you are. And once you know that, you ain't got time to be someone else. You don't force yourself into places you've outgrown. You don't fake interest to impress nobody. If it don't sit right in your spirit, you leave it alone. Whether that's a crowd, a trend, a relationship, or a job, you walk away because you'd rather be alone and at peace than surrounded and miserable. That's rare. That's power. That's freedom. The world will try to make you feel bad for thinking different. People will question your choices. Why are you doing that? Why are you not at the party? Why are you acting like you're better than everybody? But they don't get it. You're not acting better. You're just acting real. You're acting in alignment with you. And some people can't handle that because your courage reminds them of their own fear. Your independence shines a light on their need for validation. That's why they get uncomfortable. But you ain't here to play small. You ain't here to please crowds. You're here to walk in your truth. And truth don't always come with company. Sometimes you got to stand by yourself for a while before the right people find you. But let me tell you something. When they do, when those people who think like you, dream like you, live like you show up, it'll make all that time you spent alone worth it. And don't think for 1 second that walking your own path means you don't struggle. Oh, you struggle. You question yourself. You wonder, am I doing the right thing? Am I crazy for not wanting what they all want? But that little voice inside you, that gut feeling, that whisper from God, that quiet knowing, it keeps pushing you. It says, stay the course, don't fall, keep going. And you listen even when your knees are shaking. Sometimes the path you walk ain't glamorous. It ain't loud. It don't come with followers and applause. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's slow. But it's real. And you can sleep at night knowing you didn't betray yourself just to fit in. That's rare. That's integrity. That's peace money can't buy. I know people who spend their whole lives chasing crowds, trying to be liked, trying to be cool, and they empty, exhausted, confused, because every time the crowd shifted, they had to shift too. No roots, no identity, just floating. But you got roots. You got depth. You know what you believe. You know what you value. You don't switch up every 5 minutes to stay relevant. You are relevant because you're real. And you know what's funny? The very people who once thought you were odd, they're going to be the same ones asking how you did it. They're going to say, man, I respect how you stuck to your guns. I wish I had that kind of courage. They might not say it out loud, but trust me, they feel it. Deep down, everybody respects authenticity. Everybody craves someone who stands for something. That's why your rarity stands out. Because the world is full of followers. But leaders, real ones, they're rare, like you. So if you ever feel out of place like you walking alone, remember, that's the cost of being original in a world that rewards copies. But the reward is self-respect, peace, purpose, and one day impact. Because people will see you and your life will be the proof that following the crowd don't lead to greatness, but following your calling. That's where the magic is. You know what's one of the rarest things in this world right now? Peace. Not money, not fame, not followers. Real, internal peace. The kind that lets you sleep at night. The kind that keeps your soul calm even when everything around you feels chaotic. When you got a rare personality, you start valuing that peace more than anything. You protect it like it's gold, because it is. And that alone makes you different. See, most people don't realize how valuable peace is until they lose it. They chase noise. They chase people. They stay in toxic situations just to feel like they belong. They stay busy so they don't have to sit with their own thoughts. But you, nah. You got to a point in your life where you said, I'm done with the drama. I'm done with the chaos. If it costs me my peace, it's too expensive. And once you make that decision, everything changes. Start choosing differently. You stop picking friends based on how fun they are, and start picking them based on how they make you feel when you leave the room. Do you feel drained, or do you feel inspired? You stop going places just because everybody else is going. You start asking, is this good for my spirit? Because you know your energy is sacred and you can't just give it to anybody. There's a calm about you that folks don't always understand. They say, why you so quiet? Why you always chill? And you just smile because they don't get it. Peace ain't loud. Peace ain't flashy. Peace don't need to announce itself. It just is. And when you walk in peace, people feel it. They might not be able to explain it, but they know something's different about you. You ever walk away from a situation just because it felt off? Not because someone said something wrong, but because your spirit felt uneasy. That's your peace speaking. That's your inner voice saying, this ain't for us. And the older you get, the more you listen to that voice. You stop trying to force connections. You stop arguing just to prove a point. You realize not every battle is worth fighting. Not every invite is worth accepting. Because peace is better than being right. Peace is better than being liked. Peace is better than being busy with things that don't grow you. And let me tell you something. Once you start protecting your peace, people gonna have a problem with it. They'll call you distant, cold, antisocial. But that's 'cause they used to accessing you whenever they want. They used to you putting yourself last. But now you've learned how to say no without guilt. Now you've learned that silence is a full sentence. You don't owe nobody an explanation for guarding your mental, your emotional, and your spiritual well-being. You've probably cut off some folks too, not out of hate, but out of necessity. You realize you can love people from a distance. You can pray for them without sitting at the same table with them. 'Cause peace ain't just about the absence of noise. It's about the presence of clarity, of alignment, of God. You realize you were spending too much time trying to keep people in your life who were messing up your peace every time they walked in the room. So you stopped, you let go, and it hurt, but it healed you too. Peace teaches you to slow down, to enjoy the little things, a quiet morning, a good book, a walk outside. See, when you stop needing chaos to feel alive, that's when you really start living. That's when you start attracting blessings instead of chasing them. Peace clears the space for God to move, for new opportunities to show up, for the right people to enter your life. And sometimes peace means being alone, and that's okay too. You learn how to enjoy your own company. You learn that solitude ain't loneliness. It's sanctuary. It's where you recharge, where you hear yourself think, where you reconnect with your purpose. That right there, that's powerful. 'Cause the world is loud, man. Everybody talking, everybody shouting, everybody running towards something. But you found stillness. You found balance. You found your center. You're not trying to impress nobody anymore. You're not living for the crowd. You're living for you, for your peace, for your well-being, for your destiny. And that don't mean you don't love people. It just means you finally learned how to love yourself first. And that's self-love. That's what peace is built on. So when folks look at you and say, you've changed, smile and say, yeah, I found my peace. And if they don't understand that, they were never meant to sit in your peace with you. Because where you're headed, not everybody can come. And that's okay. You're not here to carry chaos. You're here to live in peace. That's rare. That's real. That's you. Let me tell you something. When you're highly intuitive, you walk through life, seeing things most folks don't even notice. You feel things you can't always explain. You pick up on vibes, energy, and emotions without anybody saying a word. That ain't coincidence. That's intuition. That's that God-given gift some people got. And if you got it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. See, when your intuition is strong, it's like you got a built-in radar. You walk into a room and immediately sense the energy. You know who's real and who's fake without them even open their mouth. You feel tension, peace, jealousy, love, all of it in the atmosphere. You can tell when somebody's lying to you, even if they smile right in your face. You can tell when a situation just ain't right, even if it looks good on paper. That's intuition. That's a spiritual skill, and it's rare.
Most folks ignore that little voice inside them. They talk themselves out of it. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I'm just being too sensitive. But you've learned to trust it, and it probably saved you more times than you can count. You ever look back and think, man, I knew something was off. I should have listened to my gut. Well, now you do, because you've seen what happens when you don't. You don't need all the facts, all the details, or a full explanation to know what's going on. You just feel it. And sometimes people think you're crazy for it. They'll say, how do you know that? Why do you think that way? But they don't understand. It ain't about what you see with your eyes. It's what you sense in your spirit. It's what you feel deep in your bones. You're the kind of person who picks up on people's moods before they say a word. You can tell when someone's off, even if they say they're fine. You notice the shift in someone's tone, the way their eyes move, the hesitation in their voice. You catch what others miss, not because you're paranoid, but because you're present. You pay attention, and sometimes that intuition comes with weight, 'cause when you sense things others don't, it can be isolating. You see red flags before the crowd sees the parade. You sense betrayal while everyone else is still clapping. You feel hurt before it's spoken, but that's your gift. And the world needs people like you, people who feel deeply, people who see beneath the surface. You might not be able to explain it. You might say, I don't know why, but I just know. And 9 times out of 10, you're right. People may not understand it, but your intuition don't lie. It warns you, it guides you, it protects you. It shows up in that quiet moment and says something ain't right, or go for it. This is your moment. It's the whisper that don't go away. That's the voice you've learned to trust. And because of that, you've made some bold decisions. Walked away from opportunities that looked perfect because they didn't feel right. And ended relationships where everything seemed fine, but your spirit was restless. Said yes to doors nobody else saw coming, because deep down, something told you to walk through them. That's intuition in action. That's courage, guided by clarity. Sometimes people get uncomfortable around you, not because you're mean, but because they know they can't hide nothing from you. You see too much, you feel too much, and that honesty, that insight, it's powerful. It's why people come to you for advice. Why folks say, I don't know why, but I feel like I can talk to you. It's because they can. You make people feel seen. You hear what they ain't saying. You're not easily fooled. You don't fall for sweet words or pretty pictures. You go by energy. You trust the vibe. And even if you give people the benefit of the doubt, you never ignore what your gut is telling you. You might smile and stay polite, but inside, you already know the truth. You might not call it out, but you keep your distance. You stay guarded, not because you're cold, but because you're wise. And let's be real, intuition ain't just about protecting yourself from harm. It's also about knowing when to lean in, when to take that risk, when to pour into someone, when to say this feels right, I'm supposed to be here. That's the beauty of it. It don't just steer you away from danger. It leads you toward purpose, toward destiny, toward what's meant for you. People like you don't just live by logic, you live by spirit, you live by alignment. And in a world full of noise, distractions, and fake smiles, your intuition is your compass. It keeps you grounded. It keeps you real. It keeps you real. It keeps you rare. So if you've ever felt like you just know things and folks don't always understand, that's all right. Keep trusting that inner voice. Keep listening to that whisper. 'Cause in a world that moves fast and talks loud, intuition is the quiet truth that never beats.